Hey guys, so today I'm back with another baby video, and today I wanted to do a best and worst baby buys video, and it's kind of a follow-up to my big baby buys video that I did when I was pregnant right before I had the baby. A lot of you had requested that video, and it was basically me talking through what kind of big ticket items I had bought to have the baby, or I had chosen. So I went through kind of like buggies and car seats and things like that, and a lot of you on that video commented saying, can you do like a follow-up to this and let us know which products are actually worth it and do like a review on each one. So that's what I'm going to do in this video. Also bear in mind, when I say worst, as with like the beauty best and worst videos that I do, when I say worst, it doesn't necessarily mean that the products are bad or that the items are bad. It's more so that I just haven't used them, or that the baby didn't really get along with them, because I did a lot of research when I was pregnant into the different like items to get. So all of them are really good and the quality is really good, but it's just some stuff we didn't end up using as much as others. So with that said, I'm going to start off with the baby items, like the worst baby items, or the worst kind of investment ones for us that we didn't really use. I'll talk a little bit about those, and then I'll go on to the best ones that I think were so useful for us and that we used all the time. So first of all, I'm going to start off by talking about the Doudna. Now, I saw my friend Millie had the Doudna way before I was even thinking about having a baby, and I thought how cool it was. When I got it, I was super excited. It's the cleverest little gadget ever, and I know a lot of people love them and use them loads. However, we didn't really use ours very much, and I think that was partly because our Cybex Cloud Q seat, which I'll talk about in a minute, was so brilliant and we just used it all the time. But it was also because the Doudna is so lightweight when it is, it's a good car seat, but when it is, when it has the wheels down as a buggy, you can't put much on it or in it. So it doesn't have a storage thing at the bottom. You can buy like a little bag that fits on the back, but it's A, not very big, and B, it's like a bag rather than like a whole shelf underneath. And you also can't really hang your bag on the handlebar of the buggy because it's very lightweight and it's likely to tip over. You're debatably not supposed to do that with any buggy, but with the heavier ones, it's fine to put like your handbag on it and things like that. And you can buy, again, a small bag, like the Doudna bag that fits onto it. But it is so lightweight, like when she was tiny, I wouldn't have wanted to hang anything off it. So we just didn't really end up using it. It's a super cool gadget and the way it works is awesome. But for us, it wasn't that useful. Maybe if you have another little one who's walking, it might be a good option. I know a lot of people do use them. Maybe it's also better if you're kind of like in the city and you kind of just like pop in and out a bit more. I don't know. Either way, I didn't find that we used it very much. So for us, it kind of wasn't really worth it. The second thing that I think is probably one of the worst purchases for us was the sleepy head, which again is controversial. I know so many people that love the sleepy head and used it, especially for like daytime naps and just putting the baby down, and it is useful. However, it's about £120, and that's not even buying the extra covers. And for us, we kind of used it like a glorified changing mat, because River was always a very good sleeper. She used to sleep in her Moses basket or her little kind of snooze pod cot. She didn't really ever need the sleepy head to sleep, or particularly like want to sleep in the sleepy head more than anywhere else. It was more just like, it is a useful place to put her, like if you need to put her down, or if I was sitting on my laptop working at the table, I would literally have it in the middle of the table and her like next to me, so I literally have her right there, and obviously she can't move, so she's not gonna fall off the table. But yeah, we didn't use it enough, I don't think, to justify the money, but I know some people for their babies find it an absolute essential. So I think it really depends on how your baby sleeps, which you're not going to know until the baby arrives. So it's a tricky one with that. The other thing I think we didn't use that much and was quite an expensive purchase was the Doudna leaf. I actually really loved the Doudna leaf, and River did like it, but again, because she was an easy sleeper, she didn't need it to be settled down. She'd be pretty much just as happy going in her Moses basket and being kind of rocked a little bit, and then she would go to sleep. So again, they're about 150 to 200 pounds, and I think for us that wasn't really worth it. We're definitely going to keep both the sleepy head and the Doudna leaf for future babies, because you never know, we might get a tricky sleeper next time round. But we didn't really use them with Riv. And then another thing that I think was I kind of wish we didn't get was the snooze pod. I actually, like, it's not bad. We used it until she was 6 months, but I just don't think we needed it at all. I think we could have used our Xoxo like little sleepy mini round cot that she's in now. So we got the Xoxo cot and like made it up to be super tiny. She never slept in it like that because she always slept in our room in the snooze pod. However, the Xoxo one is on wheels, so you can literally, like, we could have wheeled it into our room and just used that. We did not need the snooze pod. She liked it. We didn't use it to its full potential either because in terms of like the side coming down and being like being able to like reach over, like unzip it and reach over and pull her in and feed her in your bed, that for us, like, our bed was much higher than the highest setting on it, so it didn't work for us anyway. It was basically just like a little bassinet, and we definitely didn't need it. The other thing we didn't use, and I think was probably silly getting, was the motion sensor for our baby monitor. We've never used it, and I think the main reason behind that was because we didn't use the monitor until she was old enough to kind of not be that worried about her just stopping breathing for no reason. So I think when they're tiny, that's when you really like worry, and you're constantly like checking on them when they're asleep and things. We didn't really use the baby monitor with her until she moved into her own room, because she would always just go down to sleep wherever we were in a Moses basket, because our room is at one end of the house, and then you go downstairs and the other end of the house is where we would usually be, like in the kitchen or in the sitting room. She was quite far away to have her when she was teeny tiny. We always just used to keep her in the sitting room with us. It was also winter, and so we were all kind of like cozied up in the sitting room. Like, it just made sense to us to have her there, and it also means that she's not that bothered by noise either, which is really good when she's asleep. So once she started sleeping in her own room, we then started like properly putting her to bed and having that like bedtime routine and using the monitor. And by that stage, we've got the sound and the visual monitor, and we didn't really need the motion sensor. It all came as a set, and we love the monitor. It's actually on my bedside table there. It's the Tommy Tippy one, and the range is amazing. It's like 300 meters or something. But I would say, I personally don't think the motion sensor thing is worth the money. I know one friend who's had one and used it and loved it. Everyone else that I've known that's had one has said they just make you worry because they go off for no reason. Again, each to one's own. We didn't end up using it. The other thing that didn't work out for us was the Cybex Yema baby carrier, which I was really excited about, and all of the other Cybex stuff. I'm like the biggest Cybex fan. Like, all of the other Cybex stuff we've tried has been incredible. But the Yema, River just wasn't really ever very comfortable in it. We only ever used it when she was forward facing because she didn't like it. We then got the Ergo Baby, which I'll talk about in a bit, and she much preferred that, and now she's facing out. The Ergo Baby is just so much easier to put on. The Yema, for me, I just think I'm like a carrier person rather than a wrap person, because it's such a faff to kind of wrap them on. It's just easier just to click on and go. So we didn't really use the Yema, and like I say, it looks really cool, but River didn't find it that comfortable. I don't think she didn't really love it, so that was a little bit of a waste for us, and I do think I'll probably be giving that to a friend or to charity or whatever, because I don't think I'll use it again with another baby either. I think I'm like a good convert to the Ergo Baby. And then lastly, one thing that we didn't use but we actually ended up buying an alternative, it was more me picking the wrong option for our lifestyle, was the Baby Jogger City Mini GT. So this was our like collapsible buggy. For our like big pram buggy, we had the Cybex one, which I'll talk about in a minute. But for the collapsible buggy, we chose the City Mini from Baby Jogger because my sister had one, she loved it, but she lived in London, so it was a little bit different. The GT is the like slightly more off-roady version of the City Mini. So we were like, this would be perfect for walking the dogs, for kind of going on holiday, things like that. Really easy to fold, really well made, and generally a very, very good buggy. However, we struggle walking across like big gravel. We have quite like got a gravel driveway with quite big gravel on it. We struggled walking across that with it. We struggled across the fields, and we live in the middle of nowhere, so it was a bit of a nightmare. And then we went to stay with my friend up in Cheshire who had the Baby Jogger Summit, which is the actual running buggy from Baby Jogger. So like Baby Jogger, obviously, as the name would suggest, make running buggies, but the City Mini is not a running buggy. You're not supposed to run with it. So we ended up buying the Summit. It has the biggest wheels you've ever seen. It goes anywhere and everywhere. Like, you can walk through the fields, it pushes across everything, across the gravel, up and down steps, because the wheels are, I mean, they're like this big, they're enormous. It's not compact, but that is the buggy that we use every day at home. She naps in it in the day. She's become a little bit fussy about going down, that she needs to be kind of walked around the garden for a few minutes before she falls asleep for her morning nap. So she goes in that, she then stays asleep in it. It doesn't look very comfortable, like it's very flat, but she seems to be comfortable in it. And Mike also runs with her, so now she's a bit bigger and she can support her neck. It's got a 5-point harness, so it's really secure and comfortable. She loves it. She comes running with Mike, she comes running with both of us, and it's just really, really good. So for us, the City Mini was definitely not worth it, but the Summit was amazing. So, and also just to clarify with that, we actually got given the City Mini and we bought the Summit, so there is like no bias there at all. Like, we actually spent our own money on the Summit and I genuinely love it. So I think that was my mistake, buying the wrong buggy for us, but definitely the City Mini we haven't really used. Having said that, I'm actually going to take it over to my mum, because we were thinking about selling it, but my mum actually, it makes so much sense to have a buggy at my mum's, because she looks after River quite a lot in the daytime, and because they go totally flat, it's a good place for her to like have a little nap and stuff. And also our niece as well is with my mum a lot, and my mum's buggy that she has at her house at the moment is almost like a toy buggy, you know, those tiny ones, and the girls are like outgrowing it, and it's like, it doesn't, like, the wheels are like this big, and she tries to push it like through the garden. It's just a disaster. So yeah, that's gonna go to my mum's. Anyway, that's it for my kind of worst baby buys. Moving on to the best ones. I've already talked about the Ergo Baby a little bit. I absolutely love that for ease. In terms of, it clicks on so easy, it's comfortable to wear. River seems super happy in it. And there's a real, because there's quite a lot of debate around safe hip positioning and everything with carrying babies forward facing when they're little. You're obviously not supposed to do it until they are, I think it's 5 or 6 months, and they have to be in the right position. The Ergo Baby, she seems super comfortable in, and I feel really confident carrying her in it, and it's just really easy. So that I really, really rate, and I think it's really good. Again, like I said, the Baby Jogger Summit, I don't think I need to talk about that anymore, but it is brilliant. And if you do live in the countryside and or want to run with a little one, then I would 100% recommend it. So, so good. Another thing that I think has been brilliant was the Mobar, the like plastic Moses basket that we got. Not the best looking thing, like, in terms of being a traditional Moses basket, because yes, it is made, it looks like a wash basket, but it's so good. It's so lightweight, it's breathable, it's, all of the sheets are easily washable. She was really comfy in it and happy in it. She slept in that as her like downstairs bed. We had that in the sitting room and in the kitchen, depending on where we were. She really liked it, and I think in hindsight now, I would have had that either instead of the snooze pod, or as well as our stocky crib that we had, and used the stocky in here. Like, we did not need the snooze pod. So the Mobar I definitely think was the best choice, and it's cheaper too. Another thing that I think is really worth the money is the Doudna Senna Air, which is their travel cot. This is so beautifully made, and it's so comfortable. Like, compared to your average like bog standard travel cot, it's so much more comfortable. It's a lot more expensive, it's about £180 compared to kind of like £50 for a normal travel cot. You can get them as cheap as 30, and we did get one for a trip that cheap, and it was so uncomfortable for her, and she slept so badly in it. I would at least recommend going like middle of the road if you can, but this one is so, so good. It is expensive, but if you travel a lot, you can also use it as a playpen too, and it's so comfortable. It also has the bassinet insert, which a lot of travel cots don't have, so that when they're tiny, you're not putting them right down on the floor. They're actually like up like they would be in a cot, like bassinet cot. So good. Really, really rate it. It's so easy to put up. It's up in like a second. Comes with a really nice sheet with it, everything. It's just absolutely perfect. Have loved that. Onto the Cybex Cloud Q. I've spoken about this a lot in a lot of videos, but it is just brilliant. Like, if there was one thing I was going to recommend to new mums, it would be this, because for us, we only use this for the first probably 4 to 5 months of her life for a car seat and for a pram, pretty much, because it goes from a really secure car seat, and it has like the side impact protection and everything. Like, it's really good. You can get the ISOFIX base. Really happy with it, and the quality is beautiful. It's got the SPF 50 hood, and you get it out of the car and it goes flat. So it meant for us that we didn't need to ever take her out of the car seat to put her in a pram and wake her up. When she was little, she stayed asleep throughout the whole process of taking her out, putting the car seat flat, and it was an absolute godsend because we never had to then get her back to sleep. Now she just uses it as her car seat, and to be honest, it doesn't really leave the car that often, because now she'll fall asleep in the car, but as soon as we stop, if you try and take her out, she will now wake up. So we just take her out and put her in the actual Cybex Priam buggy that we have. So we don't use the lie flat function anymore now that she's almost 7 months, but it was just the best thing ever when she was tiny, and it's just brilliant. I would 100% recommend it. So good. The other thing I would recommend is the Stockage Trip Trap Highchair. This was recommended to me by my brother and his family, and to be honest, initially I was like, is it really worth the money? Because they are expensive, and you can get really good high chairs. The IKEA one is famously good, and that's like £15. The reason why I love the Xoxo one is that it lasts for a really long time. They can use it right up until they get bigger. It fits right up to the table, so if you want them to sit at the table with you, they can. The other thing I love about it is that the size of it is small enough that it's actually really supportive for her. So when she had first started supporting herself and sitting up, you know, they're still a little bit wobbly, but she wanted to be sat up and kind of at the table with us. And it was just so secure, and it gave her so much support. She would never be wobbling around. Whereas in high chairs in like restaurants that we would go to, for the ones that are just like more generic, like wooden, like much wider ones, she wouldn't be able to sit in those yet, because she was kind of like, there was too much room, unless you like shove some jumpers or whatever down the sides to keep her a little bit more upright. There was too much kind of movement. Like, she'd lean forward and then she'd like kind of fall forward. Whereas with the stocky one, it's really supportive, and she was kind of sat there and she was really happy in it. They also look really nice, and I think it's one of those things. We're gonna have a high chair in our kitchen probably for the next 10 years because we want to have more kids, so I wanted something that looked nice as well, and we got the grey with the stars, and it's really lovely and I think really nice. I've spoken about the Tommy Tipping monitor already. That's also on my list. The other thing that's on the list is my Skip Hop Vibrant Village playmat, which she's used loads, and she didn't like it until she was about 6 weeks to 8 weeks old, because they're just too like teeny tiny for them then. And then I think when she started playing with playmats, she did actually prefer the Fisher Price one that I've spoken about before. I think I spoke about that in my like 0 to 3 or 0 to 6 month like essentials, and that one was brilliant. But now she's a bit bigger, I'd say the Skip Hop one is like standing the test of time throughout the longest period, because the Fisher Price one is way too small and she can't really roll, she can't really sit up that easily and play with it. But the Skip Hop one's been really good. And then last but not least, my Gem & B changing bag. Yes, it's expensive, but it's honestly such a gorgeous bag, and I've had so many compliments on it. Almost like it looks like a handbag, but it's a changing bag, and people absolutely love it. They're always like, oh, like, I love your bag, like, where did you get it from? And the quality is brilliant. The leather's got really soft and kind of squishy, and it just has all the compartments that I need. I really love it, and it's hard to find a changing bag that looks nice. Like, there are so many out there that look horrible, in my opinion. I really love the Gem & B one. Equally, having said that, I do think if you are struggling to find a nice changing bag and you don't want to spend as much money and buy the Gem & B ones, which are a few £100s, definitely get one of those inserts that you can put into a normal tote bag, because they also are really, really good, and they will make your life so much easier, even though they're not a big baby buy. I just thought I would add that in on the end. Yeah, because you can basically turn your nice bag or whatever bag you want into a changing bag. Yeah, so that is it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. And let me know in the comments what are your essential baby buys, especially if they are like the 6 to 12 month appropriate age range for toys and things like that, because obviously we're heading into that like toy phase. She's just like started playing with everything rather than just the like lights and playmat things. So yeah, hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.